Despite 36 other Godzilla films, why did Godzilla Minus One stand out in its franchise? With a whopping 98% on Rotten Tomatoes and an Oscar win, what makes this film so special, and why do recent Japanese versions completely annihilate Hollywood's? Godzilla Minus One will blow you away, literally. Needless to say, Godzilla Minus One was a phenomenal film. If you haven't already, go watch the movie, it's worth it. This review was a little late, but seeing as Netflix just released the movie on June 1st, it gave me the chance to see it again. I mean, even Steven Spielberg had to see this 3 times. Takashi, the director, humorously remarked, "I have met God, what do I do now?" Well, Takashi, you've crafted a film that's grossed 116 million worldwide, so why not take a break, relax, and enjoy a snack? Just make sure it's not as big as Godzilla's appetite. We can't wait to see what colossal hit you create next. Something to marvel at is how insane they were able to pull this off, with a budget under 15 million, which compared to the $155 million budget from King Kong and Godzilla, and not to mention other Hollywood blockbusters in general, is mind-blowing. The film quickly became notorious for creating something of such great quality, and actually redefining the extent other filmmakers should aspire to. So how were they able to achieve this? How did they pull off such an astounding feat? According to a recent video from a Toho official, they unveiled the ingenious strategy behind the film's triumph. You see, the big challenge with VFX in filmmaking is the extensive approval process. Imagine countless quality checks, revisions, and final approvals from directors and artists. Especially when working in a big team, it's a logistical nightmare. The systematic methods of getting shots to the desired production quality requires an abysmal amount of time, and thus heavily increases costs. But with just 35 people, 610 shots, and a budget of 15 million, Toho managed to deliver a unique way to streamline this process. You see, Takashi Yamazaki is the director of this film, yet he also has a background in VFX, so he used this to his leverage to personally approve details solely himself. They also designed the workspace for all editors on a single floor. This way, as soon as a shot was ready, Takashi was able to swiftly provide feedback and adjustments. This streamlined approach not only accelerated production, but also slashed costs while delivering Hollywood-grade visual effects that garnered global attention. They even economized by reusing parts of the set, like sections of the ship, clearly stretching resources without compromising quality. Incredible technical finesse. A true genius. This movie and the last Japanese make, Shin Godzilla, share similarities to the original 1954 movies. In my opinion, Shin Godzilla took a more serious tone, delving deeper into political satire, while Minus One leaned more towards drama, albeit both serving as political critiques. They even made a cool black and white theatrical release in Japan. More about the movie, let's dive in. The movie begins on Odo Island, where the protagonist, Koichi, arrives in his kamikaze aircraft. For those unfamiliar, kamikaze aircrafts were designed as pilot-guided missiles used by suicide pilots who deliberately crashed into enemy warships, a desperate military tactic. Kamikaze duty became not only encouraged but mandatory. Many young pilots were conscripted with no choice, allowing to return from missions only due to engine issues or failure to locate the enemy. While kamikaze tactics may not have been impactful during the war, failure was simply not an option. A crucial understanding for this movie. You can sense the desperate nature, a ruthless and relentless approach, the not giving up attitude in these military tactics, perhaps a sentiment deeply rooted in Japanese culture, influenced by Bushido, a code of samurai ethics spanning since the 16th century. Society expected these fighters to fulfill their duty, honoring them as revered hero gods upon their fall. Right from the beginning, the social demand weighs heavily on our protagonist, as he had faked an excuse to escape from his duty. These sentiments, the terror, guilt, and cowardness, this is illustrated by the disdainful looks of those who realized he retreated, while others perished honorably. And that's exactly what unfolds. Despite the opportunities he encountered, Godzilla strikes again. Once more, he finds himself in a situation where his bullets might have made a difference. Yet in truth, it proves futile, an act of desperation amidst the chaos in Oda. He scurried to his hometown in order to find his parents. To his demise, he returns to utter chaos and destructions from the Tokyo bombings. This was illustrated vividly through the scattered debris and makeshift shelters, and the remains of their homes. Koichi's arc unfolds as he reluctantly assumes responsibility to care for a woman and baby. Initially resistant and conflicted, he gradually accepts, or is perhaps coerced into the role, primarily out of the concern for the vulnerable child. Similar to the original Godzilla, the film maintains a 3-month time span, highlighting their resilience and the gradual restoration of hope amidst the calamity they endure. Throughout, he wrestles with his morals, having spent so much of his life avoiding responsibility, conflicts, and perilous situations. However, he begins to embrace this newfound duty, evidenced by his willingness to take on some risky work to provide for them. This involved the daunting task of clearing thousands of mines left behind by the US and Imperial navies. During this operation, one crew member remarks on how he could have continued training or been of use if the war had persisted. This incites anger in Koichi, who has first-hand experience of the chaos, loss of lives, and the enduring trauma of war. It vividly portrays the profound human terror of such situations, capturing real emotional intensity. Another favourite scene of mine was when the crew was just hyping up about this heavy warship called the Takao. The Takao is so great it will easily defeat the beast. It was cool to just see it get completely nuked. It was a unique way of saying, "Yup, I just destroyed your best hope." And without going much further into the plot and its events, you can clearly see the film skillfully navigates the audience into the broader emotions of humanity. The honor, duty in confronting challenges, and capturing realism in struggles. The audience lives through an array of emotions alongside the characters. The weakness, fears, and dutiful development through Koichi, the hope of love and forgiveness, and the generation worth fighting for, and the strong community and friends. Even a bag of rice can be that significant, where people work together for the same goal. The film delves into themes of sacrifice and redemption. What sets the story apart is its genuine character development for the protagonist, punctuated by the touching scenes that serve as poignant reminders of the relentless chaos wrought by this formidable creature. It portrays a narrative where humanity must unite, exemplified by the climactic scene where individuals come together aboard the ship to confront and resolve the crisis. Something that seems to be a consensus amongst all other reviews is that this movie actually made you care for the humans. While audiences crave visual effects that earned the film an Oscar, it's the acting and character development that truly shine, eliciting genuine emotions of fear and torment when characters face adversity. The narrative is coherent and emotionally raw, portraying human nature in its various facets. From moments of cowardice to displays of strength, grieving, and the eventual resolve to unite against a common threat. This has perfectly captured the essence of cyclical human behaviors, and it fits well with my next point. It's the idea of facing a godlike entity that taps into deeper, more existential fears than facing a mere monster, distinguishing it from mere monster stories and adding a deeper emotional resonance and haunting quality. Compared to the American adaptations and the Japanese originals, Yamazaki stated, "The point of international Godzilla is that he's a really powerful monster, but a Japanese Godzilla is halfway a godlike creature in many ways, a malevolent and destructive one." He doesn't refer to a particular religious god, but rather the characterization of this being has a divine presence, often seen as a true embodiment of nature's wrath. The design is powerful, unpredictable, and destructive, and gives the beast an awe-inspiring, almost otherworldly appearance. Takashi also wanted to do something different and highlight the monster in daylight. It's even more impressive because in darker scenes, it's easier to hide imperfections within the VFX, alongside use of color grading. Alongside the inspiration from Hollywood and doing something different, it was definitely frightening to say the least. As much as I adore a visual masterpiece, I crave meaningful stories, deciphering any messages the author wants to convey. Each Godzilla movie has its own versatility and narration through its author. Even the name Minus One carries significance. The name was decided by Toho as a measuring scale to emphasize the chaos and deprivation of Japan. Essentially, after World War II's calamity, Japan was at zero, rock bottom, the country's lowest point. After the nuclear attacks on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan was in a dire state, and now they have to deal with a giant, radioactive, regenerative 164-foot reptile? They are now minus one, the scale of how they are. In conclusion, Godzilla Minus One is not just a monster movie, it's a story of humanity, resilience, and redemption. Its success suggests that the audience crave meaningful stories, even in blockbuster formats. What does this mean for the future of the Godzilla franchise? Will Hollywood learn from this? Only time will tell. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Real Cinema Explored for more deep dives into the best films and entertainment shows. Thank you for watching.